What's up, you guys? Friendly Neighborhood Geek here, doing another Transformer figure review slash unboxing. This time on a Transformer character who is one of my favorites, and yet I've yet to have a figure of him or of them until now. Surprisingly, this is a pretty popular character who originated from the Generation One cartoon. Um, and when we show the figure, I'll probably get into the different versions that I like. But yeah, this this version of this character I would put on my action figure holy grail list or Transformer holy grail list of or like Transformer figures or characters I would love to get, but due to the rarity of the toy or the character or the price range of the toy slash character is why I haven't gotten around to getting said figure or character. But yeah, so I got this through Facebook. One of the reasons why, and well, like I said, you see the title and the thumbnail of the video, you already know who we're talking about if you're familiar with the character. For those who aren't, yes, you see I scribbled my name, but yeah, nice little package. I got this through Facebook about last year. I started following a Transformer Facebook group that buys and sells and trades and have Transformer discussions in case I wanted to like sell off a figure that I had a hard time selling off on eBay or something. Or if I wanted help finding a collectible that I couldn't find anywhere else, and maybe a collector like myself may have that figure in their collection and would be willing to sell it to me. So this individual person, and after I get finished, I'll let them know that I received my item and thank them and all that good stuff. This person was like, I'm open to trading with you. Mind you guys, I've never traded before. Never traded. I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer and a seller. Whether I'm buying from somebody or I'm selling something off to someone. So either way, I'm obtaining something. Rather if it's money or I'm obtaining a figure I purchased from somebody else. Yeah. So I was kind of like iffy about that because I'm like, all the figures I currently own are figures I kind of want to hold on to. But I was like, well, if there was one figure I maybe would consider letting go of, it was my Transformers Collectors Club depth charge, Beast Wars depth charge. I had a video planned. I recorded a video of having a hard time removing the plastic. There we go. I recorded a video doing a review on that depth charge figure, which is like a 10-plus-year-old toy, but still really solid. If you're interested, I recommend that figure. I did do a video on him 3 years ago, so that video is still on my channel if you want to see me give my thoughts on that figure. But like I said, I wanted to give him an update since I was, letting him go. And I did a size comparison with him and the Beast Hunters, Dreadwing, and Legacy DevCon. Both DevCon and Depth Charge, both their names start with D, and they're both Autobot bounty hunters. It's really cool. I want to show them together. But unfortunately, I accidentally deleted the video, and I deleted the original copy. I had a version saved to my Google Photos, but for whatever reason, Google Photos is not able to, I'm not able to share that video anywhere. So it doesn't look like I'll be able to upload that video, unfortunately. But like I said, I do have a video I did on that, or a review I did on that figure 3 years ago on my Transformer playlist. Quality's a little dated, unfortunately, but hey, it's still up on the channel, so you see my thoughts on Depth Charge. But who knows, I might repurchase that figure one day, but checking the prices online, yeah, he's very expensive. Just like the character we will be looking at today. So I apologize, all that background information you guys know. If I do a review, I'm doing something, or I'm talking about a new figure or something, a character I'm excited to have gotten my hands on, I'm going to have a lot to say. I do a lot of talking in my reviews. Wow, okay, very small. Oh, okay, cool. yeah. So we are looking at Transformers GDO. I forgot what that stands for. Deluxe class um, Cliffjumper. Yes, I finally, excuse me, and here's the inside of the box. I'll probably keep this box. I'll probably get some use out of it. Um, yes, I finally have Cliff Jumper. Um, I have wanted this figure for years. GDO was a subline of Generation figures. I think they were released by Takara, which is the Japanese co-company that owns the rights to Transformers in Japan. And they basically just re-release like some repaints of existing figures. Like we got a Generations. I'm assuming you're familiar with these characters. If you're not, it's fine. We got like a Wheelie, Generations Wheelie, based off of a Jazz Autobot Jazz mold. We got a Springer who was based off another character body mold. We got a Megatron, which I still really like to get. He's also on my Transformer Holy Grail. He's kind of expensive. The most I've seen for him is like $50 brand new, which is again a really good deal. But like I said, it's like it's kind of pricey though. Still 50 is kind of a little pricey, but like it's reasonable. It's pricey, but it's reasonable. But like I said, that GDO Megatron is on my list. Definitely check out a review for him one of these days. And maybe a couple other characters, but the one I wanted the most, which is probably the hardest to get, is Cliffjumper. I do not know why. It may be because this particular mold is based off, let you guys get it up close. This particular mold is based off the Transformers Prime version of Cliffjumper, which was a very popular and still very sought out version. Really I think it was like a first edition Prime Cliffjumper. So yeah. But for the most part, I'm grateful. He's loose, but he seems to be in decent quality. I see a few little marks and areas, but nothing that's super, from what I can see, nothing that's super duper bad or noticeable. I forgot what type of car he is. Some type of classic vintage muscle car, I think from the 70s or something. I like the wheels. I might see if I can get like an Autobot sticker to put on him. He has a little tiny sticker or a little symbol right there. So I don't know if he has one in robot mode. But like I said, my biggest reason for not getting this guy was the cost. Now, a couple of times I have seen him for slightly decent, like $50. And that's, again, this figure originally came out in China, and I think this was eventually released in America. But again, just being a pricey figure is like, I'll get around to getting him one day. Well, now I was like, I really do want to get that Cliffjumper. I looked, getting my words jumbled. I looked on eBay, Macari. There was one person selling him for like $50-ish. They sent me an offer, but it was still a little pricey, even with the offer, shipping and handling, still a little pricey. And I was like, So, like I said, went to Facebook, asked, hey, does anyone have this figure that they could sell to me? And like I said, the person, the other collector communicated with me and was interested in trading. Was it worth it? I traded one really solid figure / rare figure for another rare figure. I guess depending how you want to look at it, I think it was worth it. But yeah, really cool. Really cool. I like that the horns on the front of the car are rubbery. So that's cool, flexible. I'll do one size comparison. Here he is with Prime Wheeljack. I think Prime Wheeljack. I'm not sure if this vehicle mode was based off a real car or not. But here they are together since they're both Prime toys. That's really cool. Yeah, they look cool together. They look cool together. I dig this. I know I should, but I don't feel like it. Excuse me, transforming Wheeljack in his robot mode. I should, because we never did see Wheeljack or Cliffjumper on screen in the Prime show, but it would be cool to just see them together. So I do have another character put to the side to scale with Cliffjumper when I transform him, and then I'll show him with my off camera. I'll show him with my Demolisher, Revenge of the Fallen Demolisher, since Demolisher's a Voyager, so you can see how he scales with a bigger figure. But yeah, like I said, vehicle mode. It's the bottom of him. Cool. Those are his thighs right there, and see his arms. Cool. Everything's cool. Everything's solid. I asked the seller to give me, see if they could find the instructions. They couldn't. It's not a big deal, but it, would have helped. So I know how to transform it properly. But yeah, so I'm debating. We'll see. I don't know. Let's try to transform him. Well, let's see. We separated that piece. And I do know this figure is kind of known for breakage, unfortunately. If you don't know what you're doing in areas, so that is kind of a bummer. Okay, we separated the legs. Let's see. But like I said, Cliffjumper is a really cool character. Always liked him. Like I said, the one version of the character I wanted the most, or appealed to me the most, being this version and the Prime incarnation, is the most expensive version of the character, which really sucks. That's unfortunate. I know these are the feet. No, these fold in. Oh, legs popped out. Well, I'll figure it out. We might have to cut. Let's see. Okay. It took a couple of minutes. Wasn't too hard to do. Now having him, excuse me, what's he worth? Do I think he's worth the price that I see him go for? No, of course not. Of course not. Since this was a figure that at once upon a time was $20, $25. The most you would have paid for this was like $30. And now he's going for like 60, 70, 80, 100. No. I do not think he's worth that price. But do I really like him? Was he worth wanting to get him all these years? I would say so. Mine, unfortunately, of course, getting this pre-owned. And this could just be in my version, maybe. I don't know if this is for every version. One eye looks a little bigger than the other eye, like the way they were molded, which is not cool. Like I said, one thing that I'm really big on when it comes to figures, the head has to be in good condition. If the face doesn't look good or something like that, for me, it just kind of ruins the whole figure. Because of course the character having a face and the head is, well, if not one of the most important parts of the toy. So if it's not in good shape, that is always like that's a big con for me. But it's not super bad. I can look past it. Like I said, he really needs another Autobot symbol. Like this Autobot logo he comes with is too small. And I know one of my movie Bumblebees was like that. Like Bumblebee had a tiny little Autobot symbol on his forehead. Like, so I'll definitely have to get him a Autobot sticker to put on him. But he's cool. He's cool. Posability is decent for what it is. Shoulders on a ball joint up here. Arms can rotate like that and go back and forth, which is cool. Unfortunately, he does have a scratch right here. Probably can't see it. A scratch right there, which is kind of a bummer. Again, I can kind of look past it since I technically got this figure for free. I traded. Yes, I did a trade. but I didn't have to pay those crazy prices for it, So I really just paid for shipping and handling, honestly. So, um, so it just depends how you want to look at it. But he's cool. He has light piping. Yeah. So the difference between this figure and the Prime version is that um, the Prime version has the Prime and cartoon head. This version is more G1 inspired. I do see there is a screw on the back of here, so if you wanted to, probably could remove the head. I'm thinking of doing that, maybe. Um, I don't know when I'll attempt to do that project, but he did get a Legacy Prime version, the latest one. The last Transformer toy line, they did make a few figures based off the Transformer Prime continuity, being Knockout, Bulkhead, RC, Dreadwing, who I own, not the Legacy version, the older Beast Hunters and figure, and his Dreadwing's twin brother Skyquake. They made a box set with a bunch of other characters, not in Prime. They're just other characters from other pieces of Transformer fiction that were originally single carded figures. They put them all in the box set, and one of the figures they added was Prime Cliffjumper, which was a pretty big deal. Even though that version was a repaint of a previous figure of another character, and the only new thing was the head. I do like that head though, so I don't know. But I do like that figure. I'm not super big on the mold they use, but I do like the look of that figure. So I thought maybe I might swap out the heads or something, if that's even possible, considering this is a 10-year-old figure and that's a more modern, recent figure. But either way, I do like it. I can look past the flaws. And like I said, down the line, I could get the first edition Prime version or something. But they did make a lot of molds of this version. The Prime one, this one, there was a Terracon version in the Prime show. Cliffjumper, kind of a spoiler, he died early on, which just kind of became a running gag. The Cliffjumper dies a lot in the Transformer fiction. And he so they made like a zombie figure, which was like a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive or something. They made a dark Energon version where he was like translucent purple, which was cool. There's a third-party company called APC Toys. They've made a few Prime figures, one of them being Cliffjumper, using this mold as a basis, however you want to say it. They also did Arachnid, who back in the day, Arachnid didn't really get a really good figure. So I might get that version eventually, the APC Toy third-party Arachnid. I might get her. So stay tuned for that. Here he is with, I think, Classics or Generation Sideswipe. Let's see. I have him stand up straight. Yeah. I'll stand up straight. So here he is with Cliffjumper. With Sideswipe. They're both red. Obviously, Sideswipe is bigger, taller than him. I did watching a review for this Cliffjumper. Someone did say that this figure is a very solid, like this mold was made for the character, of course. So this, like, his height fits him. Like, he goes, like, because he was in the original show, he was a smaller robot, mini bot, however you want to say it. His size works well with other deluxe class figures. Like I said, I'm too lazy to transform Wheeljack, so I don't know how well he would scale with Wheeljack, but it's safe to say they probably are around the same height, because that Wheeljack is a little on the stocky side, which I think he was kind of like that. He was more on the shorter side in the show. When I did that review on Wheeljack, I said Wheeljack was similar to, kind of reminded me of like Wolverine, like that version of him kind of reminded me of Wolverine. So before I show him and Demolisher together, Yeah, so one of the really cool features about this figure, which of course every version of this mold has this functionality, you can rotate. So pull the arm cavity open and rotate the hands. Wait a minute, let me see. I don't think this is okay. He has rotation. Okay, he does have rotation in the hands, which is cool. So you probably could get him to hold a gun or a rifle or sword if you wanted to. Um, fold the other hand, other cavity. Um, yeah, he has these triple barrel arm cannons built into his body, which I think we saw him use these weapons in the show. The handful of times we saw him. Um, Again, this was one of the biggest things that made me gravitate to this figure was this gimmick. My Age of Extinction Bumblebee. I had 3 versions of that mold, and I didn't think to pull out Bumblebee for this review. Dang. Oh well. Probably would have scaled better than Sideswipe, but I had Sideswipe on hand, so that's why I decided to use him as a size comparison. But the Bumblebee, the Age of Extinction Bumblebee, which in my opinion is still a solid figure, I had 3 versions. That one, the Dakara Stinger, Decepticon Stinger version, and the Last Night re-release Premiere Edition, whatever you want to call it. I let go of the Last Night version, but kept the other 2. That mold, he has his arm cannon that we saw him use throughout those series of movies, which again, which really made me really like that figure. Not only was it a solid figure on its own, posability, sculpt, paint, all that good stuff, transformation, but him being able to pull out, flip out his hand and do the gun arm was just really cool to me. I just love that gimmick so much. So much fun when I fiddle around with that Bumblebee. So to have that concept be recycled on Cliffjumper, this Cliffjumper, really appealed to me. So you can kind of, like I say, you can kind of get them into some cool poses. So like I say, yeah, I mean, it's just really cool. I love that so much. I can just have so much fun with him. So like I said, I'm bummed I missed out on this figure back in the day. I'm sure I've had, especially when I was working, I'm sure I had plenty of opportunities where I could have got this guy, but I was interested in getting other characters. And like I said, because of the price, I was always like, yeah, I'll get him eventually. Like another character, for example, Jetfire. I would love to get Jetfire. I had an opportunity to get the Siege version around the time it came out for like $70 at, I think I was at Myers with some friends. We were shopping and I saw it and I was like, really want to get that guy. I could have got him, but I was like, I don't know if I really, trying to be responsible. Like, I shouldn't just spend $70 on this big ass Transformer toy. So I decided to pass on him, and now he's kind of hard to get. So kind of a bummer. Here he is with Demolisher. Here they are together. Here they are together. Well, yeah. There's Demolisher being a Voyager. Pull his wheel up. So if you add that wheel, you see how big he is compared to Cliffjumper. Get my hands out of the way. So, yeah. But to say all that, going on 24 minutes. Say all that, he's a solid figure. Like I said, I wish I could have got him a little differently. Like I said, at least if I spent money on him, depending how much the collector I traded with, depending on how much he would have wanted for this figure, I could have. Was kind of bummed. Like at least I could have held on to depth charge because I still really like that figure. But that figure, that depth charge got 3 There were two other repaints made into Decepticon characters. One of those repaints I would really like to get. Unfortunately, every version of that mold is expensive, but that particular repaint, I'm like, okay, I don't have that character, so I would like to get that. So eventually, I'll re-obtain that mold at some point. I just don't know when, but yeah, it's a bummer. Like I say, he has a scratch on his forearm. Um, like it's not a super big deal, but like I said, if I had like some gray nail polish or something, I'm sure I could just paint over that. So like I said, because I got this guy loose and he's a 10-year-old toy, all you can do is just hope for the best, hope the figure's in good condition, and all that good stuff. So, see if I can rotate. There we go. The arms. And rotate the hands, which I can. So, like I said, solid figures, trying to straighten them up a little bit. Yeah, he's definitely missing an Autobot symbol. Like I say, he doesn't have one in robot mode, to my knowledge. No. Yeah, it doesn't show in robot mode. Um, like I said, final thoughts. Yeah, it says a cut right there, that little mark on his arm. But like I said, final thoughts. Do I recommend him? Of course. Even though he's old, a little bit dated, still a really solid representation of Cliffjumper. Really, really cool. If you can find him for a good deal, absolutely. Try not to pay no more than like $50 for him, especially if he's new in box. I think that's reasonable. $50 is the most you should spend on this. But like I said, there's tons of other versions of Cliffjumper. I'll probably try to hunt down the first edition one sometime in the future, and probably get a couple other versions of him I wouldn't mind having. Like I said, I might get that Legacy Prime version and swap out the heads with this one. But yeah, he's really solid. So as always, like, comment, share, and stay tuned for more. Peace, you guys.